Hey! Roger! Oh, Rocket Chick Roger! Hello there! Today I want to talk about something that I read on Facebook the other day that really got me to thinking. The post was from Ecuador Expat Discussions Facebook group page, and it was written by an expat that's been living here for almost 2 years. And what stood out to me is that his experiences are very different from the typical expat experience. He speaks Spanish. He spends most of his time around Ecuadorians instead of living inside an expat bubble. His understanding of Ecuador comes from everyday life, neighbors, workers, farmers, people around him, offices, rural communities. I think that matters. A lot of people move to Ecuador with a dream in mind: a lower cost of living, beautiful scenery, fresh food, friendly people, and a slower pace of life. All of these things certainly exist, but once the honeymoon's over, you discover that you're not simply adjusting to a new country, you're adjusting to a completely different way of thinking about time, money, trust, communication, rules, and daily life. That's where many expats struggle. One part of the article really resonated with me. The author talked about renting a home and investing time and money into making improvements to that home. They painted it and cleaned it all up, planted flowers, and made it his home. He created a peaceful place to live. Some people question why he would improve a property that he didn't own, but I completely understood. Your home affects how you feel. It affects your everyday. A peaceful environment has value, even if it doesn't increase your bank account. The author also owns a small coffee farm, in which he said I think he said about 1,000 plants, coffee plants. He admits that it probably will never make any money and may actually cost him money, but that wasn't the point. He bought it because it connects him with nature, the soil, the rain, the quiet, and the satisfaction of physical work. Some people look at land and ask, how much money does it make? Others say, how much peace does it bring? Neither answer is necessarily wrong. They're simply different. They're different ways of looking at life. The article also discussed farming practices and environmental, and how it affects the environment. It talked about the heavy use of herbicides, burning fields, and focusing on immediate results rather than long-term health of the land. That led to what I thought was one of the most important ideas talked about in this article: survival. Survival changes the way people think. When life feels uncertain, long-term planning often gives way to getting through today. That affects businesses, relationships, trust, and everyday decision making. It doesn't mean people are bad. It means circumstances shape behavior. I think that's something that every expat needs to understand before moving here. Ecuador often feels like a country living between two worlds. On one side, you have luxury condos, shopping malls, digital banking, modern technology. On the other side, much of the daily life still operates according to survival logic. Those two worlds exist side by side. Ecuador can be incredibly warm and welcoming. People greet one another, they say hi, and you smile at somebody, they smile back. Families remain close. Neighbors still know each other, but at the same time, daily life can sometimes feel disorganized and unpredictable. That combination can be confusing for newcomers. It's one reason some expats isolate themselves and stay only within expat communities, or eventually decide to leave. Personally, I don't think isolation is the answer. I've tried it myself and I can vouch for it. It doesn't work. I think balance is the answer. Learn the language, participate in the local culture, understand that Ecuador is not simply your home country with different scenery, but at the same time, it's healthy to have friendships and other expats who understand your background, your humor, your challenges, your way of life, your way of adapting to a new culture. Real integration comes through everyday life, through conversations, food, shared projects, volunteering, and through simple human relationships. The reason this article stood out to me is because it wasn't trying to convince people that Ecuador is either wonderful or terrible. It recognized both sides. Ecuador can be beautiful and frustrating, peaceful and chaotic, affordable and emotionally challenging, warm and unpredictable. If you're thinking about moving here, I think it's important to understand that. Don't come expecting paradise. Don't expect everything to work the way it did back home. And don't assume that a lower cost of living automatically means an easier life. Building a new life here takes patience, humility, curiosity, and a willingness to adapt. If you're willing to do that, Ecuador still offers something that's becoming harder to find in many parts of the world. It offers genuine human connection. And I think that's worth a great deal. Thanks for watching.